like, look in your room, bro. Like, imagine 1,000 bottles of baby oil on your floor. Like, what is he doing? Like, what is happening in these rooms? Oh my God. Matty Balls, you might be him.
A few weeks ago, P. Diddy's trial began.
Oh my God.
And there has been a lot that has happened since it started. From Kid Cudi claiming that Diddy was standing like a supervillain after blowing up his car.
Alright, what the fuck is that? Like, what you mean? like, what you mean? This nigga blew your car up and then stood like a supervillain. Like, what did he, like, how does a supervillain stand? Was the nigga there like this? They said, like, how is he, like, what you mean?
To many others testifying against him. But there has also been a lot of misinformation floating around surrounding the trial and everything that's going on. So I thought it would be best to explain everything that's happening. However, to understand that, we first have to understand how Diddy got in the situation that he's in. I'll keep this brief since I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the background, but it's also important to understand where he's at legally to get what's going on. Diddy, aka Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, or Sean Combs, if you don't know, is a rapper, producer, and music industry executive. He started the record label Bad Boy Records and signed artists like the Notorious B.I.G. He was extremely successful.
Come out and play
in the 90s and early 2000s, and eventually became one of the richest artists to come from hip-hop. His net worth has even been estimated to be $1 billion. I say this to say,
one of them niggas was having them free calls. He didn't know what the fuck to do with his money, so he was getting big ass beds and putting them bitches in random spots in his house.
He has had a lot of wealth and power in both the music and entertainment industries for quite a long time. For years, there have been multiple rumors of Diddy being a bad guy, whether it be theories of him blowing up Kid Cudi's car to him putting out a hit on Tupac, but there was never anything that took him down until his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura sued him in 2023. She said, "After years in silence and darkness, I am finally ready to tell my story and to speak up on behalf of myself and for the benefit of other women who face violence and abuse in their relationships." In the lawsuit, Cassie claimed that not too long after she met Diddy, he would give her drugs to make her compliant, he would beat her multiple times a year, and he forced her to have sex with male prostitutes while he filmed.
Oh my God, Diddy, what the fuck is wrong with you?
As he was in control of her career, and he also would pay for her car, apartment, clothes, and also had access to her medical records. To keep her under his control, Diddy would also threaten her music career if she didn't conceal his actions or obey him. Apparently, a few years into their relationship, he would coerce her into having sex with male prostitutes while he watched, filmed, and pleasured himself. Basically, Diddy was also a cuck. This lawsuit was a huge deal, but eventually it was settled outside of court.
Diddy the cook. Diddy the cook. Is that why he was having a freak outs? Because he was a fucking cook?
Which basically reads to me as, hey, I don't want all this stuff coming up about me in a public court setting, so I'm just going to pay you some hush money. Regardless, though, this set off a chain reaction of lawsuits targeted at Diddy, alleging a huge variety of things like abuse, SA, and much more. He was literally named in hundreds of lawsuits. However, while this was destroying his public image, he was still doing all right legally. That was until his house got raided by the feds.
Oh my God.
Earlier today, Homeland Security Investigations New York executed law enforcement actions as part of an ongoing investigation with assistance from HSI Los Angeles, HSI Miami, and our local law enforcement partners. We will provide further information as it becomes available. Both of his sons, Justin and Christian, were also handcuffed during the raid. So clearly, either because of the lawsuits or before them, Diddy was under investigation by the feds. After the raid, CNN got footage of Diddy physically assaulting Cassie in a hotel.
Bro, how they get this shit? Like from 2016? Like how they get camera footage in a hotel from 2016? Nigga, you ain't gonna be able to get away with shit no more. Like, bro, you know how hard it is to get away with some shit, bro? Now his kids are also in it. No, this shit gotta be
a hallway. This
bro.
Was the only actual evidence that the public had seen, and it looked pretty bad. So Diddy put out an apology.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you gotta do that.
What the fuck is this nigga talking about?
I mean, I hit rock bottom. but I make no excuses.
Yo, this nigga got the craziest forehead I ever seen in my life. Look at this nigga. Why that nigga shit stick out like that?
My behavior on that video is inexcusable.
Ever since security cameras were a thing.
I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted.
Right.
I'm so sorry.
Why are you sorry?
But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day.
Nigga, that was in 2016. When this video dropped, like last year.
For forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
But then in September of 2024, everything came crumbling down for Diddy when he was arrested and indicted by the feds.
Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy that used the business empire he controlled.
Oh, they watching me?
With motion arrays.
Are y'all watching me?
To carry out criminal activity, including sex trafficking, forced labor,
what the hell?
Kidnapping, arson,
bribery, Diddy,
and the obstruction of justice.
In the indictment, they say that Diddy abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. To accomplish this, they claim that he used his employees and his businesses to create a criminal empire that indulged in the things that the U.S. attorney mentioned earlier. They said from 2009 and continuing for years, Combs assaulted women by, among other things, striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects at, and kicking them. The attorney referred to Diddy's business, Combs Enterprise, as a criminal organization.
Nigga got the RICO charge too? Did the nigga get the RICO too? Bro, you trying to put Diddy ass away.
And many of his employees working to cover up everything he was doing. They said that employees engaged in and attempted to engage in, among other things, trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for purposes of prostitution, coercion, and enticement to engage in prostitution, narcotics offenses, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Probably the biggest thing to come from this case: arson, bribery, and obstruction.
Nigga, what the fuck? My apartment was once unreasonably searched when I was 19. The officer led the search, got fired, and I got paid by the city because I sued the shit out of them. Face ass. No. This what Diddy had niggas doing, right? This what he had other people doing. No, this nigga Diddy's crazy. This nigga Diddy's wild.
Of justice. Probably the biggest thing to come from this case and the largest point of contention is
nigga,
the so-called freak off. Basically, the idea is that Diddy would have these giant parties that would last for days, fueled by drugs, and he'd also allegedly use the drugs and other weapons to coerce men and women alike to participate in these sexual activities. So, like implied by this statement from the U.S. attorney,
bro, like this shit sound like something straight out of a movie. Like, what the hell is Diddy on? This shit got, bro, no way.
there are three main charges against Diddy: racketeering conspiracy, trafficking by force,
racketeering, they trying to get this nigga, they trying to put his ass down,
fraud or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution. There was a lot more details in the indictment that I went over in my previous video breaking all of this down, but this is the gist of the background information. All of this brings us to the trial, where Diddy has been getting slammed by a huge list of credible witnesses that make it look like this case is not going to end well for him. When you're indicted by the feds, usually that means you're cooked, because they have found enough evidence to believe that you are guilty of what they are claiming. So this trial already wasn't looking good, but now witnesses are revealing a ton of new information that will seemingly put him away for a long time. First of all, you might be wondering why this trial isn't streamed like many others are, and that's because electronic media coverage is banned in federal criminal proceedings. So because of that, we only have drawings of the court proceeding. They also tried to get a mistrial at one point, but that didn't go anywhere either. Anyways, right now Diddy is facing 5 criminal counts. 1 count of racketeering conspiracy, which carries a maximum sentence of life in prison. 2 counts of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, which carries a maximum sentence of life in prison and a mandatory minimum sentence of 15 years in prison. And he's also facing 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, which carries a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison. Diddy's defense team, who now has the viral lawyer from Young Thug's trial, Brian Steele, argued that he did nothing that he is accused of. They denied a plea deal and have made a few arguments against
them niggas knew Thug was getting out. Look at these niggas. They knew Thug was finna get out. Look at this. This is the type of lawyer you want right here. This nigga knew Thug was free.
prosecution. One of their main arguments is that there was a mutual violence between Cassie and Diddy, since Cassie is one of the main victims in the indictment.
Oh, so
they described
Cassie
as strong, with a nature of violence, and capable of starting physical confrontation. Ooh. Also in the trial, they went over in more detail and provided pictures of what they found when they raided Diddy's houses. They said that they found 2 AR-15 type guns with the serial numbers scraped off, sex toys, and in total, they said that they found more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil or lube.
Stop lying. Stop playing, please. Like, what you mean? 1,000 bottles of baby oil, fool? Like, 1,000 bottles? Like, really think about that. Like, really, like, look in your room, bro. Like, imagine 1,000 bottles of baby oil on your floor. How much are baby oil bottles? Like, the regular size one, them bitches probably like 16 ounces. Then the little ones, they probably be like 6. 1,000 of all them, bro. That's crazy. I used to smoke 3 blunts before banging a chick because I knew it would increase my stamina.
Lubricant across both homes. They also found a ton of drugs. In response, Diddy's team said things like, baby oil isn't illegal, everything was consensual. They also said, though, that the guns were found disassembled and therefore were inoperable, which I think is a pretty silly argument. Prosecutors argued that the close proximity of these items shows that the threat of violence was used to coerce victims to get in on the freak-off. While displaying the firearms, they also presented a fully loaded to coerce victims
look over at the camera
to
like
get
that.
in.
That nigga a freak. Look at this nigga, bro. No. Look at this nigga.
The freak off. While displaying the firearms, they also presented a fully loaded handgun, which was found in a piece of luggage. And like I said, they mentioned they found a variety of pills, marijuana, powders, and other drugs that prosecutors have alleged were used to make women compliant during freak-offs and would allow them to perform long past the point. Anyways, this case revolves mainly around 4 victims. The main one is Cassie. She is basically the star witness in this case, as she saw everything after dating
I got
Diddy.
caught stealing liquor from a rich dude's liquor cabinet, but I wasn't held at gunpoint. He just told us to leave. Yeah, get y'all ass out of my crib, stealing my shit.
She also suffered a lot at his hands. Many of the statements in the trial are all revolving around Diddy's abuse of Cassie, among other things. The trial kicked off with Cassie testifying against Diddy. She said that after signing to his record label, they began dating on and off for over a decade. She said that the relationship started off pretty normal, but over time he started to get violent. He would threaten her if she disobeyed him, and he made her participate in the freak-off. Cassie also talked about multiple instances where Diddy physically abused her.
Nigga.
Like the incident that was caught on camera in the hotel where Diddy hit her. She said, "When I chose to leave, I grabbed what I could and I got out. And Sean followed me into the hallway before the elevators and grabbed me up, threw me on the ground, kicked me, tried to drag me back into my room." The defense's main...
should have took the stairs.
argument against everything that Cassie was saying that based on text messages, Cassie was down to be involved with whatever was going on at the time.
Today is Ventura's first day of cross-examination. The defense has thousands of messages the couple sent to each other. Many Ventura read out loud. Early on in their relationship, Ventura told Combs, quote, "I love you so much, it consumes my life." But defense attorney Ana Estevo introduced this exchange. Ventura, quote, "I'm always ready to freak off."
No, he got these bitches brainwashed.
Holmes, "I can't wait to watch you. I want you to get real hot." She replies, quote, "Me too. I just want to be uncontrollable."
What the fuck does that mean,
Cassie?
Cassie?
To frame things a certain way, Ventura wasn't having it. She sent this message to Combs, quote, "I miss you. I miss our love-making sessions in the afternoons." When asked if that meant freak-offs, Ventura said not necessarily. Ventura testified.
Freak-offs in the afternoon? What?
Even after this exchange in 2016, during what she says Combs hit her in the face, she tried to rekindle their romance.
However, I don't think that means she was signing A hotel security guard named Israel Flores also testified in Cassie's defense. Apparently, there were multiple videos that he showed of Diddy assaulting Cassie from 2016. He said that after receiving a report about a woman in distress, he found Diddy and Cassie in an elevator and said, "The best way I can describe it is like a devilish stare. He was just looking at me." Israel said that Diddy offered him a large bribe.
So this nigga a fucking demon. So this nigga Diddy a demon, dog. This nigga a demon, yo. What the fuck is wrong with this nigga? There's something wrong with this nigga, dog. There's something wrong with this nigga, yo.
Bribe to not tell anyone about it, but he declined. The prosecution also called Daniel Phillip to the stand, who was a male escort. He said that Diddy would often pay him to sleep with Cassie while Diddy watched and pleasured himself. But he also said that he
This nigga's sick, bro. This nigga's sick, bro. He probably used one of them 1,000 bottles of baby oil. So if he had 1,000 bottles of baby oil in his crib, how much fucking baby oil did he use until they had up until the point where they found it?
witnessed Diddy being violent toward her. He said, "Mr. Combs came out of the room and I just saw a bottle fly past her and hit the wall. He grabbed her by her hair and started dragging her by her hair into the bedroom. I could hear Cassie yelling, 'I'm sorry, I'm sorry.' And then I could hear again what sounded like she was being slapped or someone was being slapped around and slammed around the room." Daniel said he was scared to try to speak up because of Diddy's power. Another person who testified on Cassie's behalf was Dawn Richard, a lady who was once in Diddy's pop group Danity Kane. She said that she also saw multiple incidents where Diddy was abusing her, like one time when she was cooking breakfast. Dawn said, "He came downstairs angry and was like, 'Where the f was his egg?' And he was telling Cassie that she never gets anything right. Where the f is his food?" And he proceeded to come over to her and took the skillet with the eggs in it and tried to hit her over the head with it, and she fell to the ground. She also said there were multiple instances where she saw Diddy hit Cassie in public. One time when they were at a dinner with Usher, Neo, and Interscope Records co-founder Jimmy Iovine. Keep in mind though that all of this stuff is alleged. You know, it's not all fully confirmed, at least not all of it. But when so many people are corroborating the same stories with the same themes, it's hard to believe that these aren't true. A close friend of Cassie's, Carrie Morgan, testified saying that there were 2 times she saw Diddy assault Cassie. Once was in the hills and the other on a trip in Jamaica. She said, "I heard her screaming and I went to the hallway. The hallway was extremely long, and they were coming out of the master bedroom and he was dragging her by her hair on the floor." Carrie also said that she stopped talking to Cassie after Diddy tried to choke her and hit her, and that she also accepted $30,000 in hush money from Diddy after she threatened to sue. Even Cassie's mom testified saying that Diddy was threatening to release sex tapes of Cassie, and she showed pictures she took of Cassie being physically injured at his hands. Another male escort testified and said that he worked with them multiple times. By the way, this guy goes by the Punisher, and I just thought that was funny.
What the fuck?
He described a similar scene to the other male escort, and when asked if Cassie seemed comfortable,
so there's a male prostitute and he go by the name.
He said apart from some flinching, she seemed fine, which is important to note because the main point of contention from the defense is that, oh, Cassie was totally down to be involved in all of these freak things that they were doing. There were multiple other people like a makeup artist, a stylist, one of Diddy's ex-personal assistants, and many more who all testified saying they saw Diddy assault Cassie, that they saw bruises or gashes, and that they heard him being very aggressive toward her. All of these stories seem to line up and corroborate this idea of Diddy abusing her. They even called in a psychologist to explain why Cassie may have stayed in this abusive relationship. But Diddy's abuse of Cassie extended to others as well, including Kid Cudi. One of the most viral allegations against Diddy is that he blew up Kid Cudi's car. It's been a rumor on the internet for a while, but it's
What do you mean he blew up this nigga's car? Like, what do you mean?
It's finally been explained in this trial. It all started because during Diddy and Cassie's on and off relationship, there was a period of time in the early 2010s when she started dating Kid Cudi. And when Diddy found out, he was not happy. So because of this, Cudi was called to testify.
And he talked about 2 instances
this
in
nigga
particular
put a smoke
where
on a
he
cigarette.
said
Oh
that
yeah,
Sean Combs
this nigga might be
into
cooked. No, this nigga Kid Cudi might be cooked. Why he stressing so hard? Why this nigga pull up smoking a cig? Cudi, why you scared to be on trial, bro?
his house, and he told the jury about his suspicions that later Sean Combs arranged the firebombing of his car.
Cudi said that in December of 2011, Cassie called him and sounded scared because Diddy had found out about their relationship. Then Cudi got a phone call from Diddy's assistant who said Diddy was in his house. Cudi called him and Diddy said he just wanted to talk. But when Cudi got home, no one was there. However, some things were out of order, like his dog being locked in the bathroom, or
this nigga Diddy moving tech. This nigga Diddy moving tech. He put the dog in the
gifts that he had opened up. Because of this, Cudi called Diddy and said he wanted to talk, but he changed his mind and called the police instead. He also said that Cassie had told him about being abused by Diddy. Fast forward a month later, and Cudi got a phone call that his car was on fire. Someone had cut a hole in the top of his car and dropped a Molotov cocktail on the inside.
Fuck?
He had theorized that it was Diddy who did it based on his previous exchange with him.
No way in hell Diddy did that. No way in hell Diddy cut a hole in the roof of a car and made a Molotov cocktail and threw that bitch in there on some Call of Duty shit. No way.
Cudi had also met up with Cassie and Diddy after his car was firebombed, but Diddy said he had no knowledge of what happened. Cudi also noted that Diddy was standing looking out the window with his hands behind his back like a Marvel supervillain. Apparently years later.
So Chad, he was like these. So that what he was like. That nigga said Diddy had his hands behind his back looking out the window like a Marvel supervillain.
Into each other again, and Diddy said he wanted to apologize for everything and that he had found peace with what had happened. Also, another weird thing that happened after Cudi took to the stand was that Young Thug called Cudi a rat, and there were a bunch of people who kind of seemed to agree. And Kanye said a similar thing on Twitter, although that's Kanye, so that's a little different. But regardless, this mindset is really stupid to me because this is an alleged rapist and assaulter of women, and you can't really rat on someone like that. Regardless, that was Cudi's testimony. But Cudi and Cassie weren't the only people who gave their side of this story. An LA police officer and fire department arson investigator talked about being called to the scene. The officer said after getting the call and pulling up, he saw a black Escalade that sped off. And after running the plates, he found out that it was registered to one of Diddy's company. The arson investigator said that neither Cassie or Diddy's assistant would talk to him. And that's probably because his assistant at the time claimed that she was also abused and threatened. Capricorn Clark, who started as a personal assistant but eventually rose to head of marketing for Diddy's fashion company, testified on her time working for him on and off from 2004 to 2018. Apparently, in 2011, during the Kid Cudi incident, Diddy kidnapped his assistant and forced her to go with him to Cudi's house. Apparently, early one morning, Diddy came pounding on her apartment door with a gun and forced her to come with him. This was to go to Cudi's house, where she claimed Diddy was planning on killing.
Chad, this is a crash out. These are crash out activities. I'm not doing no crazy shit like this. These are crash outs. Nigga, this is a crash out, gang.
After finding out about the relationship between Cassie and Cudi, Clark was forced to wait in the car while Diddy and one of his security employees went searching for Cudi in his house. Apparently, after a crazy car chase, Diddy threatened to kill Cudi, Clark, and Cassie if she went to the authorities with any of the information about them going to Cudi's house. Later that night, she claimed she also saw Diddy beating Cassie. This all happened weeks before Diddy allegedly blew up Kid Cudi's car. So there were 3 different people corroborating this story on top of the police finding a car registered to Diddy's company, which is absolutely crazy. And on
Alright, let's get this motherfucking money. Hey, Chad, I'm gonna have to go after this. Video.
On top of all of this stuff, there have also been a variety of other people who have testified against Diddy making similar claims. Diddy's former personal assistant David James
Bro, get your freaky ass on out of here, Diddy. Diddy, what are you on? Look, he like doing that shit. Look at him.
Testified against Diddy making similar claims. Diddy's former personal assistant David James testified about his time working.
Look at this nigga,
James
bro.
recalled the first time he walked into Bad Boy Entertainment for a job interview. He said that one of Bad Boy's employees pointed to a photo of Diddy and said, "This is Mr. Combs' kingdom. We're all here to serve in it," which is absolutely insane. James also talked about his daily tasks, which included things like stocking hotel rooms, buying drugs, and even allegedly driving for Diddy, who was armed with multiple guns, to confront rival record executive Suge Knight. There's been a huge ongoing beef between Diddy's Bad Boy Records and Suge Knight's Death Row record, with a whole history that I cannot get into right now, but basically they hate each other and have beef for years. So Diddy seemingly wanted to slide on Suge Knight with his assistant in the car. These sort of activities.
Hey, y'all see this nigga right here? This nigga was strong arming niggas crazy. Hey, why my dude? You know you about like 40 on some shit. Give us a history lesson. Give us a history lesson.
This is what led to James quitting his position, and he said, "I was really struck by it. I realized for the first time being Mr. Combs' assistant that my life was in danger." A hotel manager in Beverly Hills, Frederick Zamore, discussed how Diddy often stayed at his hotel, bringing a group of people for the freak-offs. Frederick said that Diddy would always spill candle wax on everything and use excessive amounts of oil. And he also said that in his notes he would always have to place rooms as out of order upon Diddy's leaving for deep cleaning. Joshua Croft, another one of the agents from Homeland Security Investigations, is leaving for a deep.
Zimmer said, citing notes the hotel kept on. He would, what the fuck? He would have to place rooms out of order upon departure for deep cleaning. So this nigga was using so much oil and candle wax that the nigga had to deep clean the room and say it was out of order. What the fuck did he? Bro, what is he doing? Like, what is happening in these rooms?
Deep cleaning. Joshua Croft, another one of the agents from Homeland Security Investigations, briefly mentioned that they found an account for Frank Black, which is an alias apparently used by Diddy. There wasn't any more info for this specific thing, but I find it really interesting that he had a fake alias. That's pretty suspicious. And Capricorn Clark also had a lot more to say about her time working for Diddy. She said that his abuse began on her first day when he threatened to kill her if she ever had anything further to do with Suge Knight because she used to work with him. She also mentioned that later on in her first year,
that's the face I'm making.
She was held captive for 5 days in a dilapidated and locked down building in Midtown Manhattan. While there, Diddy's associates conducted multiple lie detector tests to inquire about the disappearance of 3 pieces of high-end diamond jewelry that had been loaned to Combs and which Clark had been entrusted to look after. While she was held captive, she was threatened, and they were saying that she would be thrown into the East River if she fails the test. And apparently at the end of each day, one of Diddy's security guys would take her home and search her entire apartment for the jewelry. After all the tests failed, she says that she was fired but eventually rehired because of Diddy's birthday party. Eventually, Clark left after being pushed by Diddy to work for another record group, but then she joined back to Bad Boy Records. Then in 2012, she was fired again after reporting the 2011 kidnapping to Bad Boy executive. The label claimed she was terminated for improperly taking vacation, and Diddy told her she would never work in the music industry again. She ended up winning a wrongful termination suit for the whole ordeal, but the amount was not revealed. Diddy's defense kept trying to poke holes in her statement, saying like, why would you keep returning to this job if all this terrible stuff was happening? I mean, you got kidnapped twice. And she explained that it was because she was unable to get a job anywhere else in the music industry. While employed by Diddy for the last time as a creative director in 2016, she said that every decision related to Ventura, from her hair and clothing to her schedule, had to be personally approved by Combs. So clearly, with all of these stories that we've seen so far in the trial, there is a huge pattern. Not much else that's noteworthy has really happened. As of now, the trial is about halfway done, assuming it goes according to schedule. And while it isn't looking good for Diddy, I'm not sure they have much else other than what was presented in the indictment and what's been corroborated by the witnesses. It seems like the prosecution has all of their main arguments out of the way, and now they're just lining up a ton of witnesses to help corroborate this story, and they're just stacking up testimonies to solidify what they've already said and accused him of. Also, little editor note, many people are wondering if Diddy will testify in his own defense, and my go-to source for this stuff is Bruce Rivers, the criminal lawyer, who I think broke it down pretty well.
The question of the day: will Sean the Diddler
better call Saul.
Master, will he testify? I'm gonna give you my prediction. I predict he will testify.
And what the fuck is he gonna say?
And let me tell you why. He's got nothing to lose. He's got absolutely nothing to lose. You know, generally speaking, the rule of thumb.
What if he get up there and be like, I, Sean Diddy Combs, I did it. All the things you have heard about me, I did it. Truthfully and honestly, I did it. Please take me to jail. I'm a sick man. What if you say some shit like that? What if you say some shit like that? That'll be crazy. That'll be crazy.
Is this. You don't want your client to testify if you can avoid it. Why? Because your client's not sophisticated, generally speaking. But the problem with a case like this, where you have...
Whoa, what's that
it's
mean?
not generally speaking. But the problem with a case like this, where you have... It's not a he said, she said case, really. I mean, it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. Because there's so much other things other than Cassie's word that corroborate what she's saying. But if you only hear one side of the story, if you only hear what Cassie is saying, where's the counter-revealing narrative? Where is the person saying, no, this is really what happened? You know, they're going to have to, unless you call in all kinds of witnesses.
Nigga, because we seen it on camera. What you mean? We seen the nigga in 4K in the hotel running down with the towel holding that bitch up like this. Because we seen it. It ain't that he can't say we know he was beating that bitch. I mean, that girl, we know. Like, we know he was beating her ass. Like, we know. We seen it. It's true. Just like the rest of the shit, bro. Diddy did that shit, bro. I'm just playing.
People that were there and
I'm just talking shit.
I saw her do
There were them
that.
niggas on Twitter thinking.
Also, another editor note, Trump was talking about possibly pardoning Diddy. I hope that doesn't happen, but apparently he'd consider it.
Would you ever consider pardoning him?
Well, nobody's asked. You had to be the one to ask, Peter, but nobody's asked. But I know people are thinking about it. I know they're thinking about it. I think some people have been very close to asking. First of all, I'd look at what's happening, and I haven't been watching it too closely, although it's certainly getting a lot of coverage. I haven't seen him. I haven't spoken to him in years. I don't know. I would certainly look at the facts. If I think
No, Donald. No, Donald. No, Donald. No.
Mistreated. Whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact on me.
Anyways, if you guys want to stay...
GG's. 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 Nigga finna pardon Diddy. Oh, man. Donald. Hell nah, twin.
In the loop with the news on this and other things in the music industry, make sure to subscribe and follow me for more information. If you like this video, you might...
Oh my god, that shit was fire, nigga. You did your shit, nigga. That shit was tough as hell. That shit was tough as hell, twin.
Got too high.